Welcome the rare gems. Power is silent. Influence doesn't always announce itself. It watches, waits, and changes everything. Most people talk about confidence, presence, and influence as if they need to be loud. But not all power is loud. Some of it moves in silence with precision. And that's exactly what makes Sigma females so different and often misunderstood. They don't try to stand out, but they still shake the ground they walk on, without even knowing it. This video breaks down 11 spine-chilling things Sigma females do without realizing it. Not because they're trying to be intimidating or mysterious, but because their way of being is so deeply unusual in a world that thrives on validation, attention, and noise. You'll recognize these women. They're the ones who don't flinch when others panic, who walk away without a word, and who seem to know things no one told them. They're not cold, they're just clear. And that clarity is often seen as a threat. If you've ever felt like you were too intense, too quiet, or too different, this is for you. You're not alone, and you're not broken. You might just be a Sigma female living in a world that hasn't figured out how to read you yet. Watch this video not just to understand them, but to recognize yourself or someone you know. It might explain a lot, and it might just change the way you see your quiet strength. Let's dive in the rare gems. Number 1. They can sit with darkness. Yours and theirs. Most people run from discomfort. They keep busy, they stay loud, they distract themselves so they never have to sit alone with what really hurts. But a Sigma female, she's different. She's not afraid of the dark because she's already been there. She's faced parts of herself that others try to avoid at all costs. The grief, the guilt, the anger, the doubt. She didn't just feel it, she stayed with it, sat in it. Let it wash over her without flinching. While others shove it down, cover it up, or bury it under fake positivity, she quietly confronted it and came out stronger on the other side. That's why people often feel strangely safe with her, even if they don't understand why. She's not shocked by emotional weight. She doesn't get uncomfortable when someone opens up about something dark or difficult. She won't try to fix it with cliches or change the subject to make herself feel better. She'll just sit there, steady, present, unafraid. Imagine someone finally breaking down, sharing the thing they thought no one would ever understand. And instead of panic or pity, she just nods, listens, maybe says, "I've been there too," and means it. This calm doesn't come from perfection, it comes from experience. She knows what it's like to lose control, to feel broken, to question everything. But instead of pretending she's above it, she lets it shape her. So when everything hits the fan, while others panic or freeze, she's the one thinking clearly. She's seen worse. She's felt worse. She's already walked through fire without making a show of it. And that's what makes her presence so powerful. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady, deep, real. She doesn't fear the darkness because she learned how to carry her own light. Number 2. They remember everything you thought they ignored. A Sigma female may sit quietly in the corner of a conversation, not saying much, maybe even looking like her mind is somewhere else. But don't be fooled. She misses nothing. She notices the tone you used when you were frustrated. She clocked the hesitation in your voice when you lied. She caught the glance you thought no one saw. And she stored it. Not out of spite, but because that's just how her mind works. Most people are busy reacting. She's busy observing. Not in a performative way, not to hold power over anyone, but because she takes in patterns, body language, word choice, consistency, or the lack of it. You might joke and say something slick that sounds harmless. She'll laugh with you, and then log that moment like a file, and weeks, months, even years later, you'll see it. Her decisions, her reactions, her boundaries suddenly reflect something you barely remember saying or doing. But she remembers. Her responses are rarely impulsive. They're precise, surgical. You might think she let it slide, but the truth is she just didn't react in the moment, because she was watching the full picture, not just the scene. This is what makes her unsettling to some. You can't predict her because she's not reacting to the surface. She's responding to everything, the timeline, the behavior patterns, the small cracks in your story that you thought were invisible. And when she finally speaks up or makes a decision, it's calm, measured, rooted in what actually happened, not just what's happening now. That kind of accuracy can feel like a cold slap of truth. She doesn't keep score. She keeps receipts. Not to attack, but to stay informed, to stay clear, and to protect her peace with facts, not feelings. Ignore her quiet nature at your own risk. She saw more than you thought, and she never forgets. Number 3. They confuse narcissists by not needing them. If there's one thing a narcissist can't survive without, it's being needed. They feed on attention, validation, admiration, any kind of emotional supply that keeps them feeling important. But when they meet a Sigma female, the game changes completely, because she doesn't need them. Not their approval, not their charm, not their validation. And to a narcissist, that's not just rejection, it's starvation. At first, they're intrigued. She's mysterious, she doesn't overshare, she doesn't react predictably. They think she's playing hard to get, but soon they realize she's not playing anything. She's simply uninterested in their performance. A narcissist will use charm to hook most people. Praise, gifts, flattery. Control dressed up as attention. But with her, it bounces off. She doesn't crave the spotlight. She doesn't need to be told who she is. She's already decided. And that's when the panic sets in. Narcissists thrive on power imbalances. They want you to chase. They want you to doubt yourself. But a Sigma female doesn't chase, and she sure as hell doesn't beg. She sees through the manipulation, the subtle digs, the inflated stories, and she responds with disinterest, not drama. The narcissist will try harder. Love bomb, gaslight, guilt trip, but she doesn't bite. Not because she's cold, but because she's immune. You can't control someone who doesn't care about being liked. And when they finally realize they can't break her, they often flip. They get angry. They turn passive-aggressive or outright hostile. Because now they feel powerless, invisible, and nothing terrifies a narcissist more than being irrelevant. But here's what makes it brutal. She still doesn't flinch. She doesn't fight. She doesn't need revenge. She just leaves, with her peace intact, because she was never impressed, never fooled, never hooked, and that's the wound a narcissist never recovers from. Number 4. They make people reevaluate themselves just by being around. A Sigma female doesn't tell people what to do. She doesn't hand out advice unless you ask for it. She doesn't preach or judge, but something about her presence quietly confronts people, not with words, but with contrast. Her standards are high, but not loud. She lives with intention. She moves with quiet self-respect. She says no without flinching. She's not afraid to be alone. She doesn't chase validation, and she doesn't explain her choices to make others comfortable. And when people see that, really see that, they start looking inward. Why am I still begging for attention? Why do I stay in rooms that drain me? Why do I shrink when I know I deserve more? She doesn't call people out. They call themselves out just by being next to her. That's what makes her presence feel both magnetic and uncomfortable. She doesn't judge you, but being around her can make you realize how much you've been settling, how often you bend to fit in, how far you've drifted from who you really are. It's not that she's flawless, it's that she's aligned. She knows who she is and what she won't tolerate. And that self-possession acts like a mirror, a sharp one. People see their compromises, their excuses, the ways they've lied to themselves. Some admire her for it. Others resent her, because facing your own reflection when someone else isn't faking it, that's uncomfortable. But she's not here to make people feel small. If anything, her energy is an invitation, not to become her, but to become more you, to stop performing, to stop people-pleasing, to get honest. Because she doesn't care if you like her, but when you walk away from her, you might just start wondering if you like yourself. And that kind of presence, it lingers. Number 5. They withdraw without explanation, and it haunts people. Sometimes the loudest thing a person can do is disappear. Sigma females have this way of vanishing from people's lives without warning, without drama, and without giving anyone the answers they think they deserve. One day she's fully present, calm, kind, engaged, and then just like that, she's gone. Not out of cruelty, not to make a scene, but because something inside her said, this no longer feels right. She doesn't give big speeches. She doesn't send long texts explaining herself. She doesn't owe you a PowerPoint presentation about why she's pulling back. Her boundaries are internal, private, sharp. And when she feels drained, disrespected, or simply done, she walks away, quietly. And this silence, it drives people crazy. Not because she's trying to hurt them, but because it messes with their sense of control. Most people expect a fight, a meltdown, a reason, something to hold on to. But the Sigma female gives none of that. She leaves the door behind her closed and locked. It's not ghosting. It's not avoidance. It's clarity. She has learned that not everyone deserves access to her space, her energy, or her peace. And when she's had enough, she lets go without a second thought. What really haunts people is how clean the break is. How someone so quiet and composed could make such a loud impact by simply choosing to leave. Think about it. When someone storms out, you move on. When someone fades without a word, you replay everything. You wonder what went wrong. You start second-guessing your words, your actions, your value. That's the emotional vacuum she leaves behind. And the truth is, she rarely comes back. If this sounds like you or someone you know, keep watching. Because this is just one of the 11 spine-chilling things Sigma females do without even realizing it. Number 6. They withdraw without explanation, and it haunts people. There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels loud, heavy, unfinished. That's the kind of silence a Sigma female leaves behind when she walks away without saying a word. She doesn't slam doors. She doesn't yell. She doesn't give warnings or hints. She simply detaches, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and vanishes. And the people left behind? They're often stunned, not because of what she said, but because she said nothing at all. It's not about being cold. It's about being done. And when she's done, she doesn't announce it. She just is. What makes it so unnerving is the lack of closure. There's no, "we need to talk." No dramatic goodbye. It's just absence. A space where she used to be. A quiet disconnect that leaves others replaying every interaction, trying to figure out what happened, what they missed, or what they did wrong. Here's the thing. She's probably been withdrawing for a while, emotionally, bit by bit, while still smiling, still showing up, still being polite. But when the final line is crossed, when she realizes her peace is being disturbed, she goes inward and never looks back. Picture this. Someone texting her days later asking, "Are we okay?" And she's already miles ahead, emotionally checked out, no longer interested in explaining herself to someone who never noticed the buildup. She doesn't leave to punish. She leaves to protect. And because she rarely complains or demands, people often take her presence for granted, until it's gone. Then suddenly, her silence feels louder than any fight could have. That's the haunting part. It's not that she left, it's how she left, quiet, certain, unreachable. And when people finally realize they can't access her anymore, that's when it really hits. Some people explode, Sigma females evaporate, and that changes everything. Number 7. They break hierarchies without fighting them. Some people fight for power, others chase it. A Sigma female does neither, and that's exactly what makes her dangerous to the system. She's not interested in taking someone's spot or climbing the ladder just to prove a point. In fact, most of the time she quietly walks away from the ladder altogether. She doesn't rebel. She simply loses interest. And that subtle refusal to play by the rules others are obsessed with, it shakes people to their core. Picture a workplace where everyone's fighting for approval, titles, status, a seat at the table. Then there's her, showing up, doing her work with sharp focus, never bragging, never begging for recognition. And yet people start noticing her, not because she demands attention, but because she operates on a completely different frequency. That kind of presence rewrites the room. Suddenly people start questioning the structure they've been blindly following. They wonder, why am I chasing this when she's over there thriving without it? This isn't about ego. The Sigma female doesn't want your crown, she just doesn't need it, and that creates tension. Systems depend on everyone agreeing to the same rules. When one person quietly stops playing, the whole system feels unstable. It's like removing a single card from a stacked house. Everything wobbles. She doesn't attack the hierarchy, she simply makes it irrelevant. She creates her own lane. She sets her own pace. And without even trying, she forces others to reevaluate the game they're playing. People in charge often don't know what to do with her. They can't control her. They can't impress her. They can't threaten her with the usual tactics because she doesn't need what they're offering. That kind of freedom is rare, and it makes her impossible to ignore, even when she's not trying to be seen. Number 8. They can sit with darkness, yours and theirs. Most people run from discomfort. They keep busy, they stay loud, they distract themselves, so they never have to sit alone with what really hurts. But a Sigma female, she's different. She's not afraid of the dark because she's already been there. She's faced parts of herself that others try to avoid at all costs. The grief, the guilt, the anger, the doubt. She didn't just feel it. She stayed with it, sat in it, let it wash over her without flinching. While others shove it down, cover it up, or bury it under fake positivity, she quietly confronted it and came out stronger on the other side. That's why people often feel strangely safe with her, even if they don't understand why. She's not shocked by emotional weight. She doesn't get uncomfortable when someone opens up about something dark or difficult. She won't try to fix it with cliches or change the subject to make herself feel better. She'll just sit there, steady, present, unafraid. Imagine someone finally breaking down, sharing the thing they thought no one would ever understand. And instead of panic or pity, she just nods, listens, maybe says, "I've been there too," and means it. This calm doesn't come from perfection, it comes from experience. She knows what it's like to lose control, to feel broken, to question everything, but instead of pretending she's above it, she lets it shape her. So when everything hits the fan, while others panic or freeze, she's the one thinking clearly. She's seen worse. She's felt worse. She's already walked through fire without making a show of it, and that's what makes her presence so powerful. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady, deep, real. She doesn't fear the darkness because she learned how to carry her own light. Number 9. They unconsciously force people to reveal their true nature. A Sigma female doesn't walk around trying to expose people. She's not playing detective or pulling strings. But something about her presence makes people uncomfortable. Not in a loud, aggressive way, but in a subtle, almost invisible one, like standing in front of a mirror that's just too clear. She doesn't chase small talk. She doesn't pretend to be impressed. She doesn't play social games. And without even meaning to, that calm and self-contained energy strips away the layers people usually hide behind. No performance, no act, just the raw, unfiltered truth, whether they like it or not. It's not what she says, it's what she doesn't say. Her silence, her stillness, her ability to just sit there and observe, it creates pressure. The kind of pressure that makes masks start to slip. People either become nervous or oddly defensive. They overshare or suddenly go cold. It's not her fault. They just feel seen, and they don't know how to handle it. Take someone who thrives on attention. Around most people, they're the loudest in the room. But in front of a Sigma female, they start second-guessing themselves. Their jokes fall flat. Their charm doesn't land. And they start revealing the insecurity underneath. Not because she called them out, but because she didn't feed the illusion. It works the other way, too. People with depth feel oddly safe with her. They open up. They say things they've never said out loud. Because they can tell she can handle the truth. No judgment, no pity, just honesty. Her presence invites authenticity or exposes the lack of it. That's what makes her so powerful, even when she's completely silent. She doesn't demand the truth. She just becomes the kind of person people can't lie around. Not for long. Number 10. They make leaders feel like followers. A Sigma female doesn't walk into a room trying to take over. She doesn't raise her voice, doesn't compete, doesn't flex credentials. But somehow, without lifting a finger, the person in charge starts looking to her. It's subtle, almost invisible. But it's real. In a room full of alphas, where everyone is trying to speak the loudest or prove they're the smartest, she's the one who stays calm, focused, unbothered. And that stillness, that quiet confidence, it shifts the entire dynamic. Suddenly, the so-called leaders start checking her reaction, watching her body language, waiting for her to nod or not. She doesn't ask for that influence, she just has it. Because when someone isn't chasing attention, they naturally command more of it. People are drawn to what doesn't beg for their approval. It creates curiosity, it creates tension. And for traditional alphas, who are used to controlling the energy in the room, her presence feels unsettling. Not because she challenges them directly, but because she doesn't respond the way others do. She's not intimidated, she's not impressed, and she doesn't need to be led. Even in relationships, this plays out. Someone used to being the dominant one might notice they've started adjusting to her rhythm, slowing down when she pulls back, second-guessing when she's quiet, wanting her validation even when they act like they don't care. And here's the twist. She's not playing games. She's just rooted in herself. She knows who she is. And that kind of grounded energy subtly reverses roles. The person who wanted to lead suddenly finds themselves following. Not because she demanded it, but because her presence made it impossible not to. It's not power in the traditional sense. It's something deeper. It's self-possession. And the world notices even when she says nothing. But number 11. They exit friendships like assassins leave a room. A Sigma female doesn't storm out. She doesn't write angry texts or start emotional battles. When a friendship ends, it doesn't crash and burn. It goes quiet, clean, almost surgical. One day, she's showing up. She's listening, supporting, laughing at your jokes, and then she's gone. No explanation, no warning, just distance, silence, space. You look up and realize she's no longer sitting at your table, emotionally or physically, and you can't quite say when she left. That's what makes it so unnerving. Most people want closure. They want the long talk, the dramatic exit, the chance to defend themselves. But she doesn't offer any of that. Not because she's cruel, because she's finished. And when a Sigma female is finished, she's gone. It's not impulsive. It's not cold-hearted. It's calculated. In the quietest way. She has already done the math in her head. She's already watched the red flags pile up. She gave you chances you didn't even realize you were burning through. And when her internal line is crossed, there's no announcement, no explosion, just an exit, like an assassin slipping out of a room. No mess, no trace, just a chill in the air that tells you something important just happened, something final. And here's what haunts people the most. She doesn't try to hurt you. She just removes herself, with precision. Her absence feels surgical. You start questioning your memory. You wonder what moment tipped the balance. You play conversations back in your head, hoping to spot the moment she changed her mind. But you won't find it. Because she never gave you that window. She closed it while you were still talking. That's how a Sigma female ends things. Not with chaos, but with clarity. Not with a bang, but with silence that echoes louder than words ever could. Number 12. They make people reevaluate themselves just by being around. A Sigma female doesn't tell people what to do. She doesn't hand out advice unless you ask for it. She doesn't preach or judge. But something about her presence quietly confronts people, not with words, but with contrast. Her standards are high, but not loud. She lives with intention. She moves with quiet self-respect. She says no without flinching. She's not afraid to be alone. She doesn't chase validation, and she doesn't explain her choices to make others comfortable. And when people see that, really see that, they start looking inward. Why am I still begging for attention? Why do I stay in rooms that drain me? Why do I shrink when I know I deserve more? She doesn't call people out. They call themselves out just by being next to her. That's what makes her presence feel both magnetic and uncomfortable. She doesn't judge you, but being around her can make you realize how much you've been settling, how often you bend to fit in, how far you've drifted from who you really are. It's not that she's flawless. It's that she's aligned. She knows who she is and what she won't tolerate. And that self-possession acts like a mirror, a sharp one. People see their compromises, their excuses, the ways they've lied to themselves. Some admire her for it. Others resent her. Because facing your own reflection when someone else isn't faking it, that's uncomfortable. But she's not here to make people feel small. If anything, her energy is an invitation. Not to become her, but to become more you. To stop performing. To stop people-pleasing. To get honest. Because she doesn't care if you like her. But when you walk away from her, you might just start wondering if you like yourself. And that kind of presence, it lingers. In final words, she doesn't try to be unforgettable. She just refuses to be anything less than real. If you've made it this far, then you already know. A Sigma female is not the loudest in the room. She's not chasing approval, she's not out to impress. But somehow, she still leaves a mark people can't explain, and often can't shake. There's something almost eerie about the way she carries herself. Not because she's cold or distant, but because she doesn't play the games most people are used to. She has no need to dominate, and yet the room shifts when she speaks. She's not trying to expose anyone, yet masks fall around her. She's not detached, but her calmness under pressure makes other people start questioning their own reactions. And the most haunting part? She does most of this without even realizing it. That's what makes this list spine-chilling. It's not about being mysterious for show. It's about what happens when a woman truly knows who she is, refuses to shrink, and stops performing for the world. That kind of energy makes people rethink their choices, their motives, even their identity. So if you're a Sigma female or you see parts of yourself in this, you're not strange, broken, or too much. You're simply uncompromised. And in a world that rewards noise and imitation, your quiet clarity will always feel disruptive. Own it. And if you're still curious about how this unique personality operates under the surface, or maybe you've seen some of these signs in someone close to you, don't just stop here. Because once you truly see the Sigma female for what she is, you stop asking her to explain herself, and start learning from her instead. Thank you for watching the Rare Gems, and God bless you.